My wife's family kicked me out, unaware I was paying all their bills, so I stopped, and they went bankrupt in weeks. Show some love by subscribing. And please, say hi and tell us where you're watching from. I read every comment. I should have seen it coming when my mother-in-law Regina smiled at me across that mahogany table. Not the warm smile she used to give me 7 years ago when I married her daughter Tasha. This was different, cold, calculated, like she'd been rehearsing something cruel. The pot roast sat untouched in front of me while Tasha's entire family gathered for what I thought was a normal Sunday dinner at their house in Stone Mountain. My father-in-law Marcus sat at the head of the table, avoiding eye contact. Tasha's brother Jerome smirked into his wine glass. Her sister Keisha kept glancing at her phone. Then Regina stood up, that smile still plastered on her face. "Devin, we need to talk about your place in this family," she announced. The room went silent except for the grandfather clock ticking in the corner. I felt my stomach drop. "We've been discussing this for months now. You're just not fitting in anymore. You don't understand our culture, our values. Honestly, we think it's best if you and Tasha separate." I couldn't breathe. "Excuse me, what are you talking about?" Marcus finally looked at me. "Son, we appreciate what you've done, but sometimes marriages just don't work out. We've already talked to Tasha, and she agrees." My wife, my Tasha, wouldn't meet my eyes. She sat there, fingers twisted in her lap, nodding slowly. That's when I realized this wasn't a dinner. This was an ambush. And the woman I'd loved for 7 years had just co-signed my execution. Let me take you back to where this all started. 7 years ago, I met Tasha at a tech conference in Atlanta. I was a software engineer at a startup that had just gotten acquired by Microsoft, and she was finishing her marketing degree at Spelman. She was beautiful, intelligent eyes, infectious laugh, ambition that matched mine. When she introduced me to her family 6 months later, I was nervous but excited. The Matthews family seemed tight-knit, loving. They welcomed me with open arms, or so I thought. What I didn't know then was that they were drowning financially. Marcus had lost his job at Delta 3 years prior and was barely scraping by with odd jobs. Regina's boutique was hemorrhaging money. Jerome, the golden child, had dropped out of Georgia State twice and was dealing with legal troubles. Keisha was a single mother of 2, working minimum wage at Target. Their house in Stone Mountain, the one they showed off so proudly, was 3 months behind on the mortgage. I learned all this 2 months before our wedding when Tasha broke down crying one night. "Baby, I don't know what to do. They're about to lose everything. My mama's talking about filing bankruptcy. My daddy won't even look for work anymore. He's given up." I held her close. "We'll figure it out together." Those words changed my entire life. After we got married, I did what I thought a good husband, a good son-in-law, would do. I started helping. First, it was just the mortgage, $2,800 a month. "Just until Marcus gets back on his feet," Regina said with tears in her eyes. Then it was the utilities, because they'd received a disconnection notice. Then Regina's boutique rent, because it's so close to turning profitable. Then Jerome's lawyer fees because his family, and he made one mistake. Then Keisha's daycare costs because those babies deserve better. Within 6 months, I was covering over $8,500 a month in expenses for Tasha's family. My Microsoft salary was good, $185,000 a year, but this was eating through everything. I cancelled my gym membership, stopped going out with friends, drove my 2015 Honda instead of upgrading. Tasha knew about some of it, but not all. I didn't want to burden her, and honestly, I thought I was investing in family. In us. "You're such a blessing, Devin," Regina would say every month when I transferred the money. "God sent you to save this family." But here's what I didn't see: while I was being their blessing, they were planning my removal. Every dollar I gave them made them more resentful, not grateful. In their eyes, I wasn't family helping family. I was an outsider buying his way in. And they hated me for it. The signs were there if I'd been paying attention. 3 months before that dinner, Marcus stopped saying hello when I came over. Jerome started making comments about Tasha could do better within earshot. Keisha would post on Facebook about fake people who think money makes them family. Regina became cold, distant, only warm when she needed something. But I ignored it all because Tasha kept saying, "Baby, they're just stressed. You know how black families can be. They love you, I promise." The Tuesday before the ambush dinner, I came home early from work to surprise Tasha. I'd gotten a bonus, $15,000, and wanted to take her to Bacchanalia, that fancy restaurant she'd been wanting to try. But when I walked in, I heard voices in our bedroom. Regina, Keisha, and Tasha were talking. I stopped in the hallway, something in their tone making me freeze. "You need to get out while you still can," Regina was saying. "He's controlling you with that money, making you dependent." "Mama, he's not controlling me. He's helping us. He's buying you, baby girl. And when you realize it, it'll be too late. You'll be stuck with his mixed babies, losing yourself completely. You think he respects our culture? Our heritage? He's trying to make you white adjacent." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Mixed babies? White adjacent? I'm black, lighter skinned, sure, but black. But to them, I wasn't black enough. Or maybe I was too successful, too educated, too different. Back at that Sunday dinner, I sat frozen as Regina continued her speech. "We've already consulted with a lawyer. Given that you haven't been married 5 years, Tasha can walk away clean. We've also documented instances of emotional neglect and financial abuse." Financial abuse. I finally found my voice. "I've been paying your mortgage for 3 years. "Exactly," Jerome jumped in, leaning back in his chair like he'd won something. "Using money to control people. That's textbook abuse, man." I looked at Tasha, desperately searching her face for the woman I married. "Baby, talk to me. What is happening right now?" She finally met my eyes, and I saw something I'd never seen before, rehearsed resolve. "Devin, I think we moved too fast. I was young, impressionable. I didn't understand what I needed in a partner. You're a good person, but we're not compatible." "Not compatible? We've been married 7 years. We talked about starting a family next year." "See, there you go, bringing up what you want again," Regina interjected. "Always making it about yourself." Marcus stood up. "Son, I think it's best if you leave now. We'll have Tasha's things moved out of your place by the end of the week. You can keep the ring, consider it compensation for your contributions." The rage that hit me was volcanic. But I'm not a violent man. I'm a strategic one. So I stood up slowly, looked at each of their faces, Regina's satisfaction, Marcus's guilt, Jerome's smugness, Keisha's indifference, and Tasha's uncertainty. "Okay," I said quietly. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my home office, the one Tasha used to bring me coffee in when I worked late, and I did what I do best, I analyzed data. I pulled up every bank statement, every transfer, every payment I'd made to the Matthews family over the past 7 years. The numbers made me nauseous. Mortgage payments, $201,600. Boutique rent, $84,000. Jerome's legal fees, $45,000. Keisha's daycare and child support, $67,200. Utilities, $29,400. Car payments for both Marcus and Regina, $52,000. Medical bills, $18,000. Credit card debt payments, $31,500. Emergency loans, $23,000. Groceries and household expenses, $28,000. Holiday gifts, birthday celebrations, family vacations, $41,000. Total, $620,700. $620,700. Over 7 years, I had funneled more than $500,000 into this family. And they just kicked me out like yesterday's trash, calling me the abuser. I started laughing. Not a happy laugh, a broken, disbelieving laugh that turned into tears. My phone buzzed. A text from Tasha, "I'm sorry it had to be like this. You'll understand eventually. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I opened my banking app and started making calls. My first call was to my mortgage company at 8 a.m. the next morning. Yes, I need to remove authorized users from my account and cancel all automatic payments. The representative was efficient. Done, Mr. Harris. Is there anything else? Everything else, I said. By Tuesday afternoon, I had systematically cancelled every automatic payment, every authorized user, every financial connection to the Matthews family. The boutique rent, cancelled. The mortgage payment, cancelled. Car payments, cancelled. Utilities, cancelled. Phone bill that I'd been paying for all of them, cancelled. Jerome's monthly allowance, cancelled. Keisha's daycare direct deposit, cancelled. The joint credit card I'd given Tasha for emergencies, cancelled and reported as lost. I called my lawyer, Preston Williams, a Howard grad I'd met through work. Preston, I need a post-nuptial agreement drafted immediately, and I need to understand my liability in a divorce. Slow down, Devin. What happened? I told him everything. When I finished, there was a long silence. Brother, I'm going to be straight with you. You've been taken advantage of. Badly. But here's the good news. Georgia is an equitable distribution state, and since you kept records, you can prove dissipation of marital assets. Every dollar you gave them without Tasha's full knowledge can be counted. And if they documented financial abuse, that actually works in your favor because you can show who was really being abused. How fast can this move? If she's already talking lawyers, we move yesterday. I'm drafting papers now. But Devin, prepare yourself. When that money stops, things are going to get ugly fast. He had no idea how right he was. The first call came Wednesday morning. Regina. Devin, sweetie, there seems to be a problem with the mortgage payment. It didn't go through. I was in a meeting, but I stepped out. That's because I cancelled it. Silence. You what? I cancelled it, Regina. I cancelled everything. The mortgage, the boutique, the cars, the utilities, the phones, everything. My voice was calm, measured, professional. You can't do that. We have an agreement. We never had an agreement. I had generosity that you mistook for obligation. But since I'm apparently financially abusive and you want me out of the family, I'm respecting your wishes. Completely. Devin, don't do this. We can talk about Sunday. We were emotional, we were honest, I interrupted. You were finally honest about how you really feel. So I'm being honest too. I'm done. You're going to destroy this family over a little argument. No, Regina. I'm going to let this family stand on its own 2 feet. Like you wanted. Good luck. I hung up. The phone rang 47 times that day. Regina, Marcus, Jerome, Keisha, even Tasha's Aunt Carmen who I'd met twice. I ignored them all. By Thursday, the texts started pouring in. Jerome, yo man, this is foul. You really gonna let kids go hungry over your ego? Keisha, my babies got sent home from daycare. You're punishing innocent children. You're evil. But the one that made me laugh was from Marcus. Son, I know we had a misunderstanding. Let's talk man to man. You're acting childish right now. Childish. The man who hadn't held a job in 7 years was calling me childish because I wouldn't pay his mortgage. I showed the texts to Preston. Save everything, he said. Every text, every call log, every voicemail. This is all evidence. Friday afternoon, Tasha showed up at my job. Security called me down. She was in the lobby, looking disheveled, eyes red. Devin, please. We need to talk. So talk. We sat in the Starbucks next to my building. Tasha's hands shook as she stirred her coffee. They are panicking. The mortgage is due, the boutique is getting locked out, Jerome might actually have to get a job. My mama is having a breakdown. And you're here because you miss me or because the money stopped. She flinched. That's not fair. Fair. You sat in that room and let your family dismantle our marriage while nodding along. You rehearsed this with them, Tasha. You looked me in the eye and lied. I didn't lie. I was confused. They got in my head, kept saying things, and I believed them. But I don't want a divorce, Devin. I love you. You love me now that the bank account is closed. That's not true. Her voice cracked. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But you don't understand the pressure I was under. My family, they needed help, and you were there, and I felt guilty because they're struggling and we're comfortable, and so you let them villainize me instead of appreciating me. She broke down crying. Real tears this time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, baby. We can fix this. We can move somewhere else, away from them, start fresh. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. Tasha, 5 days ago, you told me we weren't compatible. Your mother called our hypothetical children mixed babies like it was a disease. Your brother called me controlling. Your sister said I'm punishing her kids. And now you want to start fresh. They were wrong. They don't understand what you've done for us. For them. Not us. For 7 years, every bonus, every raise, every extra dollar went to your family while we lived modestly. The following week, the fallout intensified. Regina's boutique was locked out Monday morning. She'd been 3 months behind even with my payments, and without the current month, the landlord moved fast. I heard through Tasha that she'd lost about $40,000 in inventory she couldn't retrieve. Marcus's car was repossessed Tuesday afternoon from a Walmart parking lot. The bank foreclosure notice hit their house Wednesday. Jerome got arrested Thursday for driving with a suspended license, couldn't pay the reinstatement fee. Keisha showed up at my house Friday night, kids in tow. I opened the door to find her standing there, tears streaming down her face. Please, Devin. I got evicted. The kids got nowhere to sleep tonight. I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for Jaden and Alicia. I looked at those kids, 7 and 5, holding their mother's hands, confused and scared. This wasn't their fault. There's a holiday in off $285. Here's $200 cash for tonight. Tomorrow, call social services. They have emergency housing assistance. That's it. $200? You were giving us $1,800 a month. I was giving your mother $1,800 a month that she was supposed to give you for daycare. If she pocketed it, that's between you and her. Her face transformed from desperation to rage. You know what? Jerome was right. You're not really family. You never were. You're just some bougie, light-skinned outsider who wanted to feel like a savior. Well, congratulations, you saved nobody. No, Keisha. I saved myself. I closed the door. Through the window, I watched her pack those kids back into her car. I felt guilt, sure. But I also felt something else, the weight of obligation finally lifting off my shoulders. Preston called me Monday morning, 3rd week into this nightmare. We need to talk. Tasha's family hired Dennis Copeland. Should I know who that is? Expensive divorce lawyer. Aggressive. They're going nuclear. Devin. They filed papers claiming you hid marital assets, engaged in financial abuse, and created emotional distress. They're seeking full dissolution, alimony, and damages. I actually laughed. Damages? For what? They're claiming you promised financial support to the family as part of marital negotiations, then weaponized withdrawal of that support to cause intentional harm. It's creative, I'll give them that. Also completely baseless if you have documentation. I have 7 years of bank statements showing voluntary gifts with no contracts. Perfect. Because I have something better. I pulled Tasha's financial records. You're authorized since you're still married. She's been siphoning money from your joint account into a separate account in her name. Over $87,000 in the last 2 years. My blood went cold. What? Small transfers, $500 here, $1,200 there. Never enough to trigger your attention, but consistent. She's been building a nest egg while you funded her family. She was planning this. Or preparing for it. Either way, this changes everything. We're countersuing for fraud, return of dissipated assets, and we're documenting everything you gave her family as loans with immediate repayment demands. They can't pay that back. I know. Which means liens on the house, garnished wages, the works. By the time we're done, they'll understand exactly what you were holding up. The court hearing was set for November 15th, but things exploded before we got there. Marcus called me from a hospital 2 weeks prior. Devin, Regina had a heart attack. She's in Grady Hospital. She's asking for you. I knew it was manipulation, but I went anyway. Regina was in bed, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her, oxygen tube in her nose. When she saw me, she started crying. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. We were jealous. We were scared. We were stupid. You were the best thing that happened to this family, and we destroyed it. Please forgive me. Please help us. For the first time in weeks, I felt something crack in my chest. Regina, you called me an outsider. You said I was making Tasha white adjacent. You said our children would be too mixed. You orchestrated my removal from my own marriage. I know. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. My baby girl is falling apart. She cries every night. Marcus won't speak to me because he knows this is my fault. Jerome's locked up, couldn't make bail. Keisha's living in her car with the kids. And now this. She gestured to her hospital bed. God is punishing me. God isn't punishing you, Regina. Consequences are just catching up. So you won't help? Even now? I stood up. I helped for 7 years. I gave you over $600,000. I sacrificed my own financial future, my marriage, my peace of mind. And you repaid me with betrayal. So no, I won't help. But I will forgive you, not for you, for me. 6 months later, I sat in my new loft in Midtown, sipping coffee and looking at the Atlanta skyline. The divorce was finalized. Tasha got nothing. Preston had built an airtight case. The Matthews family house was foreclosed. They're scattered now, living with various relatives. Regina survived her heart attack but lost the boutique permanently. Marcus finally got a job at Home Depot. Jerome's still dealing with legal issues. Keisha moved to Alabama with her kids. Tasha tried one last time, showing up at my door a week after the final papers were signed. I just want you to know I really did love you. I made mistakes, but the love was real. Maybe it was, I said. But love without respect isn't enough. Love without partnership isn't enough. Love that disappears when money does isn't love, it's convenience. She nodded, tears falling. I hope you find someone who deserves you. I hope you find yourself. The crazy thing? I'm not bitter. I'm free. I got a promotion, Director of Engineering, $240,000 base. I'm dating again, someone who has her own career and actually understands partnership. I even paid off my student loans with the money I'm saving. If you believe people should be treated fairly in relationships, hit subscribe, only manipulators and users won't. Comment partnership over parasites, if you think family means mutual respect. And if you can't stand people like Regina who weaponize family bonds, drop a like. Because at the end of the day, I learned the most expensive lesson of my life. Generosity without boundaries is just self-destruction wearing a halo. I'm Devin Harris. And I finally came home, to myself.